and a little chat. I'm set up here now for some tea in the woods, a lemon balm Labrador tea mix. I wish I had put in my spruce tip infused honey, but I didn't think to. So it's just a straight up herbal without the sweetener. My primary purpose in doing this video is to introduce YouTube followers, you, to myself, to say, hi, I'm Renee. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm about. I started this video last week in these same woods that I am in right now. I went for a walk, brought my camera with me, and started the introduction. I had intended to record all of what I wanted to say in that one session. And then as I was out here walking and talking and recording, my mom came up. She met me in the woods. And at that point, I turned off the recording and spent time with her and chatted and walked with her instead of finishing my video at that time. I haven't had time since doing that first recording to finish what I wanted to say. As it happens, we have had a large snowfall, so things look a little different at the beginning of this Meet Renee video recording. And then we're going to come back to this spot and I'm going to finish up what I had wanted to say. So let's roll what I had started sharing with you last week. I haven't done a proper introduction video for my YouTube channel, so now is a good time to introduce you to who I am, what my life is about, and what I envision this channel being about. The question of who I am, people introducing themselves and meeting new people and figuring out who they are, this is like such a fascinating thing to me, and I've really like questioned for many years the ways we define ourselves and the ways we explain ourselves to other people. So I am going to explain myself to you and introduce myself through two frameworks or lenses or ways of looking at and understanding myself. I'm going to explain who I am in terms of my relationships, and I am going to explain who I am in terms of how I spend my days and what I do. What I do for work in general, paid work specifically, like what does life look like for me? I will also talk about where I live and the place I am in, because I think identity is tied to place and our sense of either how much we connect with that place or don't connect with that place, who else is in that place, the things that happen in that place, the culture of that place. All of those things also constitute my identity and who I am and how I would explain myself to the world. Relationships. I am a mother. My kids are 26, 24, and 23. All of my kids, I should say our kids, because I'm married, I'll get to that in a moment. All of our kids live in Montreal, where we used to live as a family before we moved to Nova Scotia, which is part of the place-based part of my introduction. I am married to their dad. His name is Damien. We've been married 29 years, and this summer we will celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. I got married rather young. I felt very ready at the time to commit my life and my life's journey to walk alongside Damien, but I was young, especially in today's cultural context, less so 30 years ago, but even then it was kind of a young age to get married. I got married when I was 20. I'll do the math for you. I am currently 50. So those are kind of like big defining relationships in my life and how I understand myself and how I would introduce myself to people. I am a mother. I'm a wife. I am a daughter, and I live next door to my parents, and being in close physical contact with them is part of my life, and part of kind of what my life looks like. And I have always been emotionally and relationally close with them, even though for 24 years of my adult life, I did not live close to them physically. So the experience of being next door to my parents or even in the same province as my parents is still a new experience for me. The last time I lived in the same province as them or lived close to them was when I was 24 years old. So this is a midlife change for my husband and myself, and for me, obviously. I am also a sister. I have one brother. I am an auntie to my brother's kids and also my husband's siblings' kids. I guess that also makes me a sister-in-law. Those relationships are less, I would say, defining for me because of the distance involved. However, my brother recently was living on our property, and so rekindling or re-understanding myself as a sister has been a recent experience for me. And related to my brother being here, his kids have also been living on the property at various points. So I'm experiencing the auntie part of my identity in more like really tangible, if not day to day, at least week by week interactions and connections, which has been a delight because in the same way that I lived far from my parents during that same period of time, my husband and I lived far from all of our family. His side and my side, our siblings, our parents, nieces and nephews, all of it. So to be in closer connection with family has been a real treat. If I think about my relationships as an onion, and there's relationships that are close to the core, and then we go out and out. I'm also a friend to, well, in terms of close friends, a handful of people, and then have like many acquaintances and connections from many years across the continent, having lived in different places. One of the areas I'd like to grow myself in is in being a community member. Right now, the community aspect of my life feels like far from the center of my onion. I would like to grow, I guess, maybe the thickness of that layer. I'm not sure if it can move closer into the center because there's just only so much you can hold at the center. There's only so much capacity, so much time, so much resources. But I would say that community involvement and a sense of community and also my place in the wider community and my contributions really to the wider community are something I want to grow in the coming years. But I will say that my closest relationships constitute my community and have for many years, and I feel very satisfied in that. I don't have this strong desire for more, but I feel like I need to contribute more. That's on the life list for me for the next few years, or for the next stage of my life, is just deepening that part, the community part of my identity and my roles and responsibilities, interactions, duties, all of those things. I want to grow more in that area. But I'm not motivated to do that from a lack in my life. My days are full with family that live on the property, that like we share driveways and I see people all the time. And in terms of the time I have to spend just hanging out and eating together and sharing life tasks, I do that with my family. I do that with the people that I live next to, which are my family. And so I'm not driven to the community building thing out of a strong need at this point, but out of a feeling of the need and desire to build what I think we're going to need in the future through tumultuous ecological, political, social, did I say economic times. I feel we need to have strong roots in community. So that is something I am moving towards. I already have a start in things. I do a lot of shopping locally in the farmers market and local vendors and places, especially around food, which is an important value of mine. So I'm starting, but I have more to do and more to grow in terms of being available for people in their times of need and building those networks of mutual aid and solidarity and resilience. So I guess that brings me to place. Community is a very place-based idea. I live in the South Shore region of Nova Scotia. I think it's called this because it's south of Halifax. Where my actual house is located is on a river, backed up against the woods. I'm walking in those woods right now. That river is an estuarial river of the North Atlantic Ocean, and I am about a 10-minute drive from beach on open ocean. I don't see ocean from my house. I don't have like an ocean view anywhere from my house or property. But as soon as I get driving, let's say 5 minutes from my house, I can see the ocean. So I consider myself a coastal dweller. When you're this close, I do think it's coastal, even though I don't have an ocean view. The South Shore is my regional place. Nova Scotia is my provincial place. Canada is my, I guess, national place. And I have to say, with all the developments geopolitically and the developments in the United States, I have become increasingly patriotic and, let's say, attached to and identifying with Canada. And I'm very cultural and pluralistic in my worldview. So this increasing sense of patriotism, nationalism, it's not like, I don't know, put up the walls nationalism. It's a attachment to the good ideas, let's say, of this nationhood. And there are many that are problematic, but there is plenty of good here. And especially in comparison, let's say, to the United States. So I more strongly identify at this point in my life than I have at other points with my Canadian identity. That's all I'm trying to say. And I'm back in the snowy wonderland scene with my tea. So to continue on with this introduction, the last piece of the place-basedness of my introduction about how I want to explain myself to you in the context of my place is that I live next door to my parents. I mentioned that part already, but I want to expand on that a little. Oh, it's getting a little chilly just sitting here. So get this hood on. Maybe I'll put on my warmer mitts too. I made these mittens years ago for myself. They're always a treat to wear. Okay, what was I saying? Well, one of the most important pieces of my place-basedness is the fact that I live next door to my parents. Living in community with them, sharing like our daily, weekly lives together. And it's not like we see each other every day even. Well, I mean, we see each other like in the yard or what have you, or I see my dad as he's leaving to go to work. But like, it's not like we're hanging out every day together, but we are very much a part of each other's lives. That element of place, that I live next to my parents, is a big part of who I am in this stage of my life. It's kind of hard to hear myself. I find the hood over my ears to be distracting because this is a slippery fabric and it just keeps rubbing and distracting me. So I'm going to try taking my hood off for now. So I think that covers the place part of my introduction. And so now I want to tell you about what I do and how that is part of my explaining who I am to people, as well as some of the understanding of myself for myself is certainly defined by the things I do, like what I do with my time and how I spend my time. So let's do that part now. What is it that I do? I need some more tea. I'm very glad I brought this. It is keeping me warm as I sit out here in the cold talking to you. You may have noticed that up until this point, I have not introduced myself by like what I do for paid work or what my career is, or like, hi, I'm Renee and I'm a blah 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 worker. Paid work hasn't been the biggest part of my identity, and so it's not what I lead with. The first thing I want you to know about me is I'm a homemaker. I've been doing that work for 30 years. Yeah, well, I started making a home for myself actually when I moved out to go to university. I was 17, so over 30 years. But really, like, the making of home started with more intentionality and like separation from my home of origin, my parents' house. That started when I got married. So that was 30 years ago. I've been a homemaker for 30 years. And for me, homemaking is the vocation that I feel I don't know, most called to, most strongly about. I feel extremely satisfied doing it. I feel an incredible amount of meaning and purpose in that. Yeah, it's just always been a core part of my adult identity in the things that I do and the things that occupy my imagination, that I'm engaged in intellectually, energetically, emotionally, even, has been around our home and making our home a certain way. There's all kinds of tasks involved with homemaking, and I don't do all of them. Damien and I, we split up the labor around certain things. I manage our kitchen. I don't do all the cooking for both of us. My husband does a lot of his own cooking because we eat differently. And so he cooks a lot of his own food. And that's okay with us, and that's how we do it. But I manage. I guess that's a thing really about me, is that I'm a manager. It's I guess a skill and a way of being that I have developed. I guess I'm also suited to it. I'm drawn to do that kind of thing. So anyways, I manage our kitchen. That's like the grocery shopping and the like managing all the food supply and our food stores, so we don't just have enough food for just 1 week. So we have, like, depending on the item it is, we have weeks worth of that or up to 6 months supply of that thing. So, that's a certain amount of management there. I also manage our budget and our household finances, and I've been doing that fairly granularly, let's say, for also our whole marriage. Like, I know exactly what we spend on everything that comes into our household. I know our expenses. Like, none of that is mysterious to us. It's all well recorded, managed, planned. That has been something that I have done and that I do. Those are two big pieces, I would say, of the homemaking and home management. But it's more like also, it's the thing that is always running at the back of my mind about, like, when I think about, like, my responsibilities and what I'm taking care of in this world, in my relationships, in life. Home is at the top for me. Home and relationships. That's why I guess I lead with that part of what I do. Anyways, home and relationships, top of mind for me. I also have paid work, and I call it that on purpose. I guess it's kind of developing into a career. I could call it my career, but I'm still new to thinking about that kind of work as my career and wrapping my brain around it that way. I have just finished a master's degree last year. I have a whole video series about that experience, finishing that. And that video series is also about all my career and work figurings out. Let's say the things I was trying to figure out about what I'm going to do for career and work. Anyways, where was I going with this? I don't know that I call this a career yet. It's going in that direction, but it is my paid work. And I call it that because everything else I'm doing in my life is a type of work also. Like, all the effort that I expend, even my hobbies and, like, leisure interests, I don't call those work, but the effort it takes to pursue those things is work. It's a type of effort. So I have a way of thinking about work that levels it out in a way so that it's not like the work I do for pay that's only called work, and it elevates it at some kind of, like, oh, that's the work, and therefore it's more meaningful, or has some kind of special category. That's not the way it is for me. That is my paid work. And then I also have work in the kitchen, and then I have work in our home, and then cleaning is work, and going for a walk in the woods is a type of work, the effort. The pursuit of hobbies where you're learning and you are like this right now, doing this YouTube video and this channel and figuring out how to do it and researching, that is all a type of work also. So that is why I use the term paid work to describe the work that I do that I get paid for. So what that is I am a content services provider. I've been doing that work for over 7 years now, but I'm only now stepping into it as a career path and a career track. The thing I'm doing for my career in this part of my adult life. Coming to that realization is a new thing for me, and so it still feels, I don't know if it's tender or vulnerable to talk about, but I don't want to just ramble on and on about it. And if I feel like if I was to try to explain it, it would just be a rambly, and this is just not the point of this introduction. Is just, I don't feel like going into all the nitty-gritty about my paid work, what that is, what I do. I will leave a link to my portfolio in the description, so if you're curious, you can see, well, what is that? What does that mean? I might also in the description have a little definition or explanation. So far we've got homemaking and my paid work. The other thing I do with my time, I have creative interests and hobbies, and one of these is writing, and I would actually call that one of my vocations. I've written at length about this. I'm not going to go into depth here on what I mean by vocation. I'm going to have links for you for that. Writing is one of my vocations. Homemaking is another one of my vocations. My vocations are not my professions in that they don't earn me money. I'm not earning money from doing these things. Well, except in the case of writing, and I use my writing skills and my work as a writer actually in my work as a content services provider. So that in that way, writing and my writing skills, which I've developed over like the last, well, my whole adult life, but those are part of my professional suite of activities. But the kind of writing that I do for my soul, let's say, which is memoirist storytelling and the writing of my ideas and sharing those things publicly with the world through either my blog in the past or now my Substack, that writing is vocational. It's highly purposeful for me and purpose and meaning driven, and just a thing that I never want to stop doing. And I just have to always have it in my life, regardless of everything else. And so writing is one of those activities that fills my week, and it's a creative pursuit. And I guess you might put it under a hobby, but I think of it more as vocation. Another one of my creative pursuits is what I am doing right now. I think I would consider my YouTube and making videos right now as a hobby. Certainly it's not a vocation in the same way writing or homemaking is. It's not something that I can definitely see myself doing forever and ever, like I plan to with writing and homemaking. It is a means of communication, and YouTube is a platform for the storytelling and sharing that I am driven to do about my life. So video making fits into hobby, but it's definitely a creative pursuit. And my main creative pursuits are writing and video making. At this time, I don't do a lot of like handcrafts or those kind of things, but I do make a lot of things as a homemaker that have a creative element, and there's creativity kind of woven into them. I make soap, and I make candles, and I make different things that have this kind of, I don't know, handcrafted element that feels creative, but they're just also part of my, I don't know, stash of things that I make to have in our home and use. The other main thing that I do with my time is I take care of, and I should say contribute to the taking care of our home, like outside of the homemaking part, but like thinking of it as our property and the things associated with our property that are a part of our property. Yeah, it's like caring for where we live, the land that we're on, the the management and things that go into having a piece of property, which is a way bigger responsibility than what I'm used to. Most recently, we lived in an apartment that we rented in Montreal for 9 years. And before that, we were also renters for like 4 years. The last time we owned our own home was 15 years ago. So being now property owners, not just owning a home on a city lot, but having a couple acres of land and having to manage and steward that well, that is also part of what I do with my time. I don't do that alone. So there's my husband, but also we live next door to my parents. We have shared resources and shared like property things like driveway, and we share a garage with them. And so there's things that are shared both in terms of usage and responsibility and contribution. So this is not a load I bear on my own, but I am contributing to it as part of our small community. So I'm not exactly sure what to call that. Property caretaking and oversight and stewardship. I'm not sure. I hadn't really thought about it before now about how I would word that. But yeah, that's something else that I do with my time. Is there anything else? I guess the other thing is already been discussed, and it was the thing about myself that I led with, which was my relationships. The work of relationships, everything that goes into carrying and maintaining those relationships, and all the things we do for people and our activities with them and our connections with them and our phone calls and our visits, and the time that is spent caring for people, tending relationships, that is also, I would say, an activity in my life. It's actually a thing that you work at. That's, I guess, my point here. It's not just a way of understanding yourself. Like, oh yeah, I'm a mother. Oh, I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an aunt. Like, no, those things are actually time commitments in your life. They are things that you do in your day. I feel like that pretty much summarizes how I spend my time, which is part of the who am I picture. The other thing I want you to know is what this YouTube channel is about and what I intend to do here. My videos are about my life. They're about whatever is going on right now that I feel compelled to share or driven to share or am at liberty to share. Like, not everything in my life is shareable because of the relationships I'm in and the things that must be protected within those relationships. But what I make videos about is my life. That's quite simply what it's about. These are an extension or a continuation of what I've been doing already for 20 years in my writing, which is writing about my life and writing about my ideas. That's what I'm doing on the videos also. Certain themes might emerge. I might decide to explore certain topics. I might sometimes show something or say, hey, I'm doing this thing and I can show you how I'm doing it and you might learn something from this. But this isn't a teaching YouTube channel outside of if I'm doing something in my life and I want to share it. One thing that I am not trying to do on YouTube is inspire people. I don't think about, oh, what would inspire somebody when I go to make content. Maybe that's bad. Maybe that makes things less, I don't know, interesting, relatable, desirable to watch. I'm not exactly sure. My drive, my impetus, what I'm trying to achieve is to simply tell the story of my life that may or may not be inspiring to other people. I've already gone through my season of life where I was thinking that I could inspire people with sharing my experience. I had that perspective many years ago on my blog. This was, I don't know, 15 years ago on my blog, when I was thinking that, oh, I could inspire people to live differently, or to or to make different choices in their lives. Somehow I was the source of inspiration, or like, not the standard. I've never thought of myself as a standard for anyone else, but somehow like I was going to inspire people to do something. I can appreciate that people feel that way about their own lives, and also that people can gain inspiration and ideas from watching other people. I certainly do that in my own life and in my own interests and in the people I follow. But I'm generally not following people to be inspired by them. I just want to see how they live. I just want to see, who are you and what are you about? And what does your life look like? And how do you spend your time? And what do you make and do? I don't go about seeking inspiration at this stage of my life in content creators, or in the writing I enjoy reading, or I don't know, like that's not to say I don't want to learn things. I do, and I want to learn things from other people, and I seek to know and learn and apply things to my life, but I don't generally do it through the lens of seeking inspiration. It could just be a stage thing, it could be an age thing, it could be a been there, done that, not so motivated around that anymore. I don't know. My point here is that I am not seeking to inspire. That's not my goal with making videos. I just want to tell the stories of my life. I want to share the beauty of things. That is definitely something I want to share. Share the beauty of aspects of my life and things that are in my life. That's what you are going to get on this channel, at least right now, in this stage. You're going to get me living my life and doing the things in my life and making videos about doing the things in my life, and putting them up on YouTube. I will say that I don't intend to make videos about my paid work. That's kind of like a compartmentalized part of my life, whereas the edges of the other pieces of my life feel more fluid and overlap with each other. When I sit down to edit this, if I think of something else that I didn't say, that I really want to say, oh wait, like put up my hand afterwards and say, wait a second, I have something more to add, I will add that. Otherwise, this is it. I'm going to put my snowshoes back on and walk back home and warm up. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. I just saw 2 deer running through here. Couldn't get the camera on fast enough. One of them is a piebald deer, so it has white patches on it. They ran through just up in that clearing there, which is where I'm headed. It's always pretty to see deer in the woods.
That's a start. My love won't budge. My love won't fade after the prelude. We only get one life.
It's cold, Mom.
I know.
It's cold.